Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to tear apart one of the most important events in the entire global economy, the TSMC earnings call. We're going to figure out what it is, why it matters so much, and what it's telling us about our own future.
You know, it's so true. And honestly, it's especially true when you're talking about investing. You can read every book on the shelf, but to really get the market, you have to listen in on the conversations that actually move the money. And believe me, few conversations have more power than an earnings call.
So, let's just get right to it. What in the world is an earnings call? I know, the name sounds super formal, maybe a little intimidating, like it's just for Wall Street insiders speaking in some secret code. But it's actually way simpler than that. Let's demystify it.
Okay, so here's the textbook definition. It's a scheduled call where the big bosses at a company get on and say, "Hey everyone, here's how much money we made, and here's our grand plan to make even more." But come on, if it were really that simple, we wouldn't be talking about it. There's so much more going on beneath the surface.
A much better way to think about it is like this. It's a super high-stakes blind date. You've got the company, all dressed up, trying to charm its potential long-term partners, the investors. It's showing off its best qualities, talking about its dreams for the future, and basically trying to convince them that it's the one. And this really gets to the heart of why these calls exist. See, the market can handle bad news. It can price it in, adjust, and move on. What it absolutely cannot stand is the unknown. It hates uncertainty. So the whole point of an earnings call is to turn all that fuzzy uncertainty into clear, calculable risks.
And it all plays out in this three-step dance. First, the company executives lay out their story. Then the analysts jump in. They're like detectives, poking holes, asking tough questions, scrutinizing every single word. And finally, based on all that, the market reacts. The big money starts to move, and that's what makes the stock price go up or down. It's not just a report, it's a deep psychological battle.
Okay, so let's get specific. Why on earth does a 1-hour phone call from this one company in Taiwan send ripples across the entire globe? Why do investors from New York to Tokyo drop everything to tune in? Because TSMC isn't just any company. This metaphor is perfect. It's the throat of the global tech industry. Almost every single advanced piece of technology we use, from our phones to our cars to the cloud, has to pass through TSMC before it gets to us.
I mean, just look at this list. The iPhone in your pocket, its brain comes from TSMC. The NVIDIA chips that are fueling this massive AI revolution, made by TSMC. The processors in new electric cars, you guessed it. To put it simply, if TSMC sneezes, the entire tech world gets a really, really bad cold.
And this is where you have to learn to read between the lines. When TSMC says something technical, like we're increasing capital expenditure, what the world hears is, get ready because the demand for AI is going to be absolutely insane for the next few years. When they talk about their gross margin, they're essentially setting the price tag for the world's computing power. This call is basically a weather forecast for the global economy.
All right, but let's be real. Nobody's just looking at what happened last quarter. The real juice, the reason everyone tunes in, is for the clues about what's coming next. We're talking years down the road.
So this is the kind of roadmap that analysts are piecing together from the call. Now, that phrase 2 nanometer might sound like jargon, but what it means is that chips are about to get ridiculously smaller, faster, and way more powerful. And when that hits full production in 2026, it cements TSMC's lead. Then, by 2027, as AI systems really mature, the demand for these new chips is just going to explode.
So, what does all that tech talk mean for the bottom line? Well, analysts take all this information, plug it into their models, and they come up with a number. They're predicting that by 2026, TSMC could earn somewhere between $70 and $80 for every single share of its stock. That's not just a random number. It's a target, a powerful forecast of just how profitable this company could be. And it doesn't stop there. If you look out just one more year to 2027, with that AI demand really kicking in, that number could jump to over 90. Now, these are just projections, of course, but they show the sheer scale of the growth that everyone is trying to get a handle on. It's an attempt to put a price on the future.
Okay, you see these kinds of numbers, you hear about a roadmap to dominance, and the question just pops into your head, right? Is this it? Is it the right time to buy? Should I jump in right now?
But before you answer that, we've got to take a step back. We need to zoom out, because the right answer to that question isn't just about the numbers on a slide. It's about a core philosophy, a different way of thinking about the whole game. This is probably the single most important lesson in investing, period. The price, that number you see flashing on the screen every second, that's just what you pay today.
But the value, that's what you actually get. It's the company's real strength, its technology, its long-term potential. And price and value are not always the same thing.
And this requires a huge mental shift. Look, if you treat the stock market like a casino, well, the house usually wins. But what if you saw it differently? What if investing was about becoming a part owner of an incredible, well-run, excellent system? It's not a gamble anymore. It's a calculated belief in excellence.
And that's really the whole point of this explainer. The earnings call, when you understand it, gives you the tools to stop chasing the shadow. The shadow is the stock price, bouncing around all day, every day. Instead, you can focus on the solid object that's casting that shadow, the real, fundamental essence of the company.
So the next time you hear about the TSMC earnings call, ask yourself this. Are you going to get distracted by all the chaotic noise on the surface, or are you going to listen closer for that deep, steady pulse coming from the heart of the company? The choice is yours.